Alrighty, CNT140, we're going to work on our cable support for our bid spec project. So on our bid spec page, here is our bid spec page. I'm going to the do area where we have our notes pages. And I'm going to scroll down through here. There's our patch panels. There's our cable support. And the first thing I'm going to do is open the notes page here, bid spec notes page. And just for ease of reference for today, I've downloaded this as a PDF. Download as PDF, and I have this notes page open right here. That way it's a little easier to view. So the beginning reminds us of where we should be at this point. At this point we've we've done a lot of ground, so this would be a reminder to catch up, closet locations, calculate horizontal cabling, add the horizontal cabling to your cost sheet, started your maps, added the work area outlet needs, add your patch panel needs, and then also your patch panel layout. So that's where we are at this point. So we are looking now at what we need to do to support our cabling in our building in the hallways and then into the classrooms. Well, we're going to use a cable tray that's of this nature, a basket wire mesh basket type nature. This is actually the kind of wire tray that's installed in our Midtown building right outside of our CNT lab rooms. So I picked this one since it was kind of like close to home. As you're walking through our lab rooms and halls, it looks very similar. So we have this one picked out that we'll be using in the hallways. And once the cabling leaves the hallways and goes into our rooms, we'll use JHooks of some nature to support these small bundles of cabling into our rooms. So first thing, we need to think about our building. Here's our building, and I'm going to pull my network map up. Here is my map. And so far we've marked our closets and we've marked the horizontal cabling, leaving the closet, going down the hall and into our rooms. Well, as the cabling is in the hallway, this is where we're going to support it with this wire mesh basket type of cable tray. So we're going to mark on our map here that we're going to be installing those cable trays in the hallway. So let me do a line here, and I'm going to mark that in this hallway here. All right, there we go. In this hallway, we'll be installing a tray pretty much the length of the hallway. And I'm going to change the thickness. I'm going to make him larger, and I'm going to make him stand out with my pink color because I noted that I'm using pink down here for the cable trays. So we're going to install a cable tray in this hallway for sure. We're going to install a piece from there into our closet. So I'll mark that there. We'll go from our closet, hopefully, over top of these rooms to this hallway. And then again, we'll be doing another length of tray in this hallway here. And probably at least a little length up this way, maybe out this far, somewhere in that ballpark, that we can get these rooms here. So those would be the trays that we're installing in this part of the building. And over here is actually pretty simple. We can just do one straight length of tray through this hallway over here. And again, what that's going to do is support the large bundles of cabling as they leave the closet down the hallway. And once they get near the rooms, we'll pull off the bundle of 2 or 3 cables going this way, or the 20 or 30 cables going this way. And what you actually do is you drill a hole through the wall. You put a metal sleeve in there, a conduit, a pipe, if you will, that you feed your cabling through. And then once it goes into the room, you use a series of JHooks like so, either anchored around the side of the room or maybe up in the ceiling above the suspended ceiling, to support the cabling until it gets to, the ultimate outlet drop here or the outlet drop here. So you use a handful of JHooks spaced about every 5 feet or so to support the bundle of cabling until they get to the outlet that might be here or there in the room. So that'll be our game plan for supporting cabling. So first thing you want to do is mark up your map with your cable trays. That's essentially what we're going to be doing. Here's my map from some time ago. Here's the one I'm working on now. So that's your first step. After that, we now need to do some homework to get all of our details together for being able to order the supplies we need. So one of the first things we need to do is measure the length of all the cable trays. So now that we actually have it marked on our map, we can get our ruler out and measure, how many inches this is, 5-6 inches. Excuse me. Add that to this length over here, add that to this length here, this length here, this length here, this length here. Add up all of those inches that you have on your map here. Once you do that, use your key down here, 1 inch equals 32 feet, and come up with a feet distance. Okay, come up with a feet distance. And keep that number handy. Keep that number handy. We will need that for when we order our trays. What I did was I got my spreadsheet and I started my section on cable support here, and I put down cable tray length needed, and I marked my distance here. That is just a kind of a ballpark number. That's not exactly from my map, but I just marked down here how many feet of tray I needed. And that's just kind of starting my notes. I have additional notes here for other things that we're going to work our way to, so do not panic on that. But just start your cable tray length needed, however many feet that you measured off your map. That way you have that and you don't lose track of that. The second piece of information we need is how many cables are going to be in these cable trays. So we'll need to look at our map again and figure out the number of cables leaving this closet going into this hallway, leaving this closet going to this hallway, so that we have a number of how many cables are going to be in the tray. So I'm going to go back to my spreadsheet here, my cable estimation part, and this closet here is servicing this wing. So this right here would be the absolute positive max number of cables that would be in a tray at any given point. That's really on the high side because, roughly half of these are going to go one side of the hallway, the other half's going to go to the other half kind of thing. So that really is the high number. But if I at least have that, that gives me a ballpark of that's the max that would be in my tray. So again, I'm going to keep that number handy as well. And I think on my cost sheet, I might have even indicated, no, I don't think I put it on here. I just made a note for myself that I would have X number of cables. And I'll need that for one of the next steps I do. So I measured my length of cabling, my cable trays, and kept that number in feet, put it on my spreadsheet. I'm keeping a number handy on my cables. And now I need to research what kind of size of tray. If I get one too small, it's going to fill up. If I get one too large, it might just be way too big for my building. So I want to get some kind of estimation on how to do that. So the best way to do that is to actually go to the manufacturer of this tray. This is a cabinet fill tray. And look at their information that they have on their wire mesh tray. Well, what I have for you, again out here, I'm going to go back to our bid spec page, cable support. I actually have, next to my notes, I have the cabinet fill catalog. I have a clipping of the fill table that we'll need later, and I have the install guide. I have these here for reference. Now, you don't need to do this, but I downloaded the cabinet fill cable tray here, or the cabinet fill catalog. I've downloaded that as a PDF, so it's easy to view and see. Here it is right here. I have it on my Google Drive here. You're welcome to use it there. I downloaded here for easy reference for you guys. What I want to do is I want to find, they actually have just a couple pages in here. This is a bunch of ads on what they have and what they sell. Excuse me. And shortly after we get to the wire mesh tray section, they actually have a table. This is kind of their products and what they're good for. And here is a quick reference on how much load a tray can handle, how many pounds. What we want to know is this right here. How many data cables can fit in a certain tray? And if I look across the top, 5E plenum, 6 plenum, 6A plenum. So if I look at the category 6, that's probably what we're installing for our building, and follow that down through. This tells you that, okay, let's say I look at this one right here. Category 6 cabling, 300 cables will fit in this CF54300, a 2x12. So this right here, this CF54300, basically a 2-inch deep tray by 12-inch wide tray, would handle 300 cables. So that would handle, going back here, I'm going to go back to my estimation, that would handle essentially the cabling in this hallway, but the catch is, that is when the tray is full. That is when the tray is absolutely positively full. Well, we don't want to do that. So what we'll do, just to get a good ballpark, is if we double that number, we're at like 630 some in that ballpark. If we double that number, then we know we have plenty of room to grow in this tray if we need to. So if we now continue down the line and look at, okay, here's a tray that'll handle 600 cables. This right here is a lot wider tray, a 2x24, that'll handle plenty of cables as we need to grow in this building. This gives me a pretty good idea of that's a tray that'll probably work to get the job done. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of mark that or save that so I have that information. So what I'm going to do is on my spreadsheet right here, I'm making a note of that I'm using the CF54-600 tray, 2-inch deep tray by 24-inch wide tray. And I'm keeping that so I know that's the one I'm picking out and I don't want to lose that information. The next thing I'm going to do is I want to grab proof that I actually looked at this, and that is the tray I'm picking out. So I'm just going to grab a screenshot of this tray right here. I'm going to save that to my desktop. So I'm going to go out here to my desktop and I'm going to find that. It usually saves down here in the corner somewhere. So let me slide this guy over. There he is right there. I'm going to open him up and, oops, get back here picture. Okay, there it was in the PDF. I just grabbed a screenshot out of there. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to mark this up. So use whatever, image program that you have. I'm just going to put a quick rectangle on here that CF54-600, this is the tray I'm picking out to accommodate my, 600 cables projected that we might have down the road. We have 300 now. This is twice that, so we know we're good for a number of years. I'm going to mark that, and then I'm just going to resave this. I'll rename this, I'll call it cable tray load table. Something of that nature. And then I'm going to save this, and I'm going to submit this with my bid spec, showing that I did some homework on the tray size I need for my building. So I'm then I'll open my bid spec folder here, and I'm going to grab that out of here and save it so I have it for later. And there is my cable tray load table right there, the one I just did, showing that that's the tray I picked out. All right, so save that. Now that you've looked at that and picked out your tray size, save that so you don't lose that. And that is literally my next reminder here in your notes. Once you've researched your size of your table, make sure you plan ahead. That's what I'm saying here, plan ahead, basically double that number, and then save proof of this. Save proof that you looked at that, and I'll submit that with my bid spec when I'm done. Okay, we're getting there. The next thing I do is I'm going to look at the length of these trays. How long are these trays? Again, if I go to the catalog where the wire mesh trays are, I'll see some information. So I pulled a clip out of there, but let me show you in the catalog. If I keep going in the wire mesh tray section, that's really the next section in here, and I'm going to go to the CF54 2-inch deep tray. Here, right here, gives you the, this is a picture of what it looks like, and this shows you the sizes down here. 2 inches, there's the CF54-600, 2 inches deep, 24 inches wide. Right here, it's a 10-foot length. These trays are sold in 10-foot lengths. Great. So I'm now going to, on my spreadsheet, make note of that. I'm going to my spreadsheet here, and I'll make a note that these are sold in 10-foot lengths. So with 10-foot lengths, I know, since I did, I estimated about 440 feet. Well, if these come in 10-foot lengths, I'm going to need 45 of these. So I now know quantity-wise that I need 45 trays of this size to accommodate the cables in my building. So there's how I'm getting my first piece of the size of the tray and the length of the tray and the quantity of how many I need. Now, ideally, I would probably order a couple extra just to be safe, but that's at least my starting point. If I wanted to order 50 to round up, I could do that, but at least I have a good estimate of what I need. All right, that's the first part with my trays, tray width, tray size, and tray length. Okay, next podcast we come back, we'll start looking at supporting these trays.